Hi, everybody. This is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions. Welcome in. We are streaming here on the YouTube channel, and I have a great one. We will be getting into a free business credit building video series and a builder machine that can build your business out from scratch, or you've been in business for some time, but you know you need to establish your business credit and do more with it, not just set up a Dun& Bradstreet account and just go off and into the distance, and now you're trying to apply for loans that you may or may not be approved for. And this will give you more of that factor and that certainty and that confidence moving forward with your business, where you're just not relying on your personal side. In fact, with some of the things I'll go over today, you don't have to use your social security number, rather your EIN number, and a few other things to get access to up to 150, if not 250,000, building out your vendor credit, retail credit, store credit. You have fleet credit and much more. I'll be diving into this video, as well as a business loan application process. I'll be walking you guys through what it entails, but also some of the qualifications on the revenue-based side. So for this one, we'll be focused on the credit. And there are three aspects to getting funding. If you've heard me say this or you've heard it before somewhere else, but I go into it in a lot of depth. So one of those being credit, cash flow, then collateral. You either have one of these three, two, or all three. And I look at maximizing your best potential around one and multiple. You may be starting off only with credit, and we're doing a few things there first. And in the meantime, you could build out your business credit. So if you needed credit repair, and then you're looking to establish and or continue to build your business credit profile with Dun & Bradstreet, your paydex score, and have your other business credit bureaus reporting accurately with what you're doing, we can do that at the same time. And there are many of you who have been doing that. And if you need help with credit repair, then look down below in the description. I'll also get into what I have here on the share screen fully in a little bit with this free business credit building video series. I'll link it to down below on all information, as well as the questionnaire. If this is your first time, or if you've been around for some time but you haven't filled it out and you'd want to, you'd get a very highly personalized and customized email response on your best funding option and options, very thoroughly broken down from a business loan broker expert. I'm a funding expert in this space. I service all types of services, and you're going to get the best out of me with the best lenders, underwriters, without over-promising, under-delivering, overwhelming you. I don't do none of that. I'm very transparent, very, very loyal, respectful. I'm an academic. Just very quickly on this, and I'll get into this share screen fully. I come from an academic background. I went to school initially for sociology, and I was a Division I soccer player. Eventually, I got into chemical engineering classes, and that's what I eventually wanted to do. I love chemistry. I love the maths. And then I saw the market shift, and I started seeing things and where I wanted to be in the future. So then I got into business administration. But I've worked in construction. I worked in manufacturing, and not the actual financial parts of that. I actually had to work the machines, and then eventually getting into a financial logistics role that went down under, had to go back on unemployment benefits. And I didn't want to continue going down that route and feeling like a disappointment literally to my family and having them take on more of the burden. And that was in my younger 20s. I was never bad by any means. It's just things happen. Post-academics and things like that can happen. So let me get into the share screen here. We've done enough of an introduction. So this will be down below in the description for you if you haven't picked it up. And if you have, you know. And if there's other information that you need from me, I will be able to help you with. But here it says the free video series reveals how to rapidly build business credit and get access to over $250,000 in funding without being tied to your social security number or personal credit score. ... Even if you are a complete beginner or have tried and failed. Click the button below for immediate access to my watch and learn to building business credit method that you can set up in as little as 3 days. So you'll just simply enter your name here, first and last, that's preferred, and then enter your best. I didn't say just an email. So why I say that? Because a lot of business owners and people, they just submit their email and it goes to somewhere else and they never check it, or they forgot about it. They auto-populated the field here and it didn't go to the right one. And then you'll click here on the green Get the Videos Now button, and it'll take you over to that page, which I want to highlight now. And I don't want to reveal that whole page, just so you know. I want to give you guys a snippet, and I see it on another tab of mine. So I'm going to go through this one rather quickly, and I'll leave this down below, and then we'll transition into the next topic. We'll also get into 0% interest, so please stick in there with me. And again, this will be down below, and I might put it in the comments here soon. This is spontaneous, if I didn't say so. So it's not like I broadcasted this live to everybody. So if you're watching later on, appreciate you. Thank you very much. Sincerely, I do. Those of you who do comment, I can't always get back right away to those comments, but I do see them. I appreciate you gratefully. And even those of you who are on the live as well, there's no difference. Appreciate you guys greatly for being sincere and being considerate and being polite and respectful and as professional as you are. And I've spoken to you before, personally and in business. It's amazing what I get to know from people. And I'm an introvert, so it's kind of hard. But here, what I'm seeing on my other page, it says here, wait, watch this crucial video before jumping into your free training. So I created video content, and there will be some extra resources in this free business credit video series. But here, there's a short introduction of about a minute. It's a little bit dark. I might remake that video, but it's very legit. It's there. And it was a spur of the moment, and in time, I had to get this done. So I put this video here as an entry, and then there's some following steps underneath that. And then the next step here would be to watch the free video series below, why building your business credit is super important. And I've shared a story, and there could be multiple ones in there. That's about 6 minutes or so. Maybe it changes in time, but it is right there. And then underneath this, from what I'm seeing, and I put this together, there will be a free download link. You could download a link to see the best a free guide on the best 7 vendors for starting building your business credit and doing it appropriately without a personal credit check, like I said, and even a personal guarantee. So there's that part, and I might leave more underneath the video. And then another part, I might say part 2, watch the 7 steps to getting business credit ready. And in this video, I go about 10 or so minutes. It may change over time, but I go through a document and I put out, okay, what are the steps to having your fundability details? And these, just very quickly, are for you to understand from the top. There's steps to building your business credit with vendor credit, trade credit, and more. But at the top, you want to list your business name, doing business as. You want to have your business email address, your phone number, and I give you guys resources on where to go get those numbers, the 1-800 numbers, the other ones. If it's I'm going to say my area code, but if it's your area code, why is it better to use a 1-800 as opposed to your area code number and your mobile number? Having a professional email address is huge. Making sure you're listed in the directories. I have those resources for you, and it's a step-by-step process. And so that'll all be in that one video, and then I'll have a document likely underneath that. Let me go back into this where it will show you. You might be able to pick up a document as you watch the video. You can see, and if it's not there, it's okay. And then step 2, I might say, here, click here to watch and how to set up your website and more. And here's the next part that I want to mention there is for those of you who haven't established the website, just so you know, I do a whole lot of digital marketing agency lead generation stuff. I have more of a done for you setup these days than just doing it or do it yourself, more of that way than doing it done for you, which I've done for many years. And so I have free video content on this, and I produced one of those. And so you can click a link if it's still there and go watch how to create a free website on what platforms. And if you have any more questions on that, I don't want to get too much into the intricacies right now on what website provider, how do you go find a domain name? There's the Namecheaps of the world. There's many more that I've used and have a lot of experience with. I've used the Wixes of the world, the Squarespaces, the Weebly's. I've used the WordPresses, which I use the majority of right now because I'm heavy on using multiple websites. But there are ways to do in this where when you come back and you go and apply for business credit cards and vendor credit, and you have an entity like an LLC, S Corp, C Corp, or if it's just a sole proprietorship and you're applying with your EIN, which is what they want to see, well, a better entity is always going to help you get higher approval amounts, and it's going to be much easier and more flexible to work with. So that's one part. Let me get into the next parts of this. So there might still be another free guide you can download in there. And then underneath that, there might be a part 3 where you see how to set up a Dun & Bradstreet account. For some reason, like I think in the beginning of this, I said Bradstreet. I don't know why I said that, but how to set up a Dun & Bradstreet account super fast. And I'll go through that video. It's funny, when I made this, I may make an updated version, but not. It's okay. But I made this in a place where we're renovating and we were constructing parts of my house and moving things around. So I had to be in a confined, closed closet space for the meantime while people were working and they were on a break and doing things. So I got a good laugh out of those times, but that's why it'll look the way it looks if you see that video in time. And then it says under here, click here to register your business with Dun & Bradstreet and more. And then there might be some next steps. Part 4, see the 5+ trade lines to get in net 30 accounts and what's currently working and what is best. I go through that. And there may be more video content updated over time, but underneath that, then you have some extra resources, the 5 steps to getting business credit cards, see how to get 0% interest business credit cards, which I'm going to jump into in a moment, for 6 to 18 months and up to 150, if not 250,000 you can get with fair to good to excellent credit. But above this, I have a button that you can click on where you can watch the same process and go through what I've been going through to build my own business credit profile for my businesses. And it's a business credit builder system like no other, where it's going to show you step by step. So if you haven't put together your own fundability details from the business address to the business number, business name, and so forth, this can also help you. It's a software, it's a system that I've been able to use, and it's the best of the best out there. I've looked for things like these. I've done things on my businesses where I didn't need a specific software to help me put my business email address and all that, but you can skip those parts or you can add them as I show you, and it might be most up to date as well on what they're doing in certain circumstances. So that's what I recommend, and I'm going to get into that very quickly here, and we're going to transition into another piece of content and then go into the application. So give me one moment. So with this free business credit side, I do want to mention that you can build your vendor credit out. You can build your credit lines, revolving credit lines through business credit card accounts. And it just depends on the qualification. So if you don't have the credit cash flow collateral, you may want to start off with vendor credit. And separating your business from personal is most important because you're not held liable for those assets, and having to put your family on as a liability in case something goes wrong. You can't make certain payments, and now you have to go bankrupt or a lot happens. Then that ends up going down a farther route. You're foreclosing, and then you have charge-offs, and then it's just going down a path that you may not want to go down. And it just depends per case, depends on your position, your business plan, or you've already been in business for some time. You can still use this as a guide. And it's what I utmost recommend for those of you who want to make purchases from vendors, from like the Ulines, the Grangers of the world, get those products and tools and supplies, the Sam's Clubs of the world, and so forth, Amazon, retail credit. That way you have that as an addition or the majority of it. But that's an additional, you need supplies as you're a plumbing business and you're running out of tools, or you have a big project, or you've just taken on another client and you can't fulfill on the project itself. So they end up finding someone else. And you don't want to go down that path and thinking, well, I could have had them and I could have had them. That could have opened up more doors. So that's just one example of many. But let me go back into this and I'll go into another share screen in a moment. So please stick in there with me. So on top of picking up my free content and even more free stuff inside of it, like I said, you can build it with your EIN. You can use this software as well, like I've been able to use if you need to, for setting up your business and making sure you are a fundable client at the end of the day. And then you get to set up and activate your current profile and go through that. Like I've already shown you with Dun & Bradstreet, the other credit bureaus. Credit monitoring is what's most important. So I will also be showing you that and who to turn to and why that's best. And then you can get initial trade credit. That's at the bottom line of this. At the very foundation is that vendor credit profile. And then I'm going to get into that in a second. And then you start building out your business credit, starts reporting into the right business credit bureaus and more without a personal guarantee. And so this isn't like you need to have a specific credit score. For those of you who have bad credit, even good to excellent, you can get started just with this. And that'll start also helping open up the doors for getting that revenue coming into your business. You just need a few things. That's going to jump up to 5,000. Now you're at 50,000. Now you're getting revolving credit lines. You can liquidate the cash out of these, which I'll get into in a moment. But you can access vendor credit, retail credit. You have servicing credit, business credit, fleet credit, and vehicle financing, and much more. So I don't want to go too in depth. I may leave a demo for you on how all of this works down below, as well as when you pick up that free business credit video series that I have for you, that I created for you. You'll go into the exact system and what I've been able to do and how you can streamline the process without trying to figure it out all yourself. I've been there trying to figure it out with certain vendors, what it wasn't reporting. I didn't make enough purchases. The credit report wasn't showing well, it wasn't in depth. So when I went to go get a higher type of loan, it wouldn't look good. And the FICO SPSS score. So you want to make sure you do it very diligently. You don't want to close your eyes and say, well, I saw a video on YouTube about this Uline and Granger. Yeah, but you want what's also most up to date. I'm not saying they're not factual or they're not right, but things change in the market as well. And you want to make sure you're on top of applying to the right vendor, because like a Quill or because of a certain Creative Solutions or a different type of vendor program or wherever you're going through, they may not be as adequate for you and they change their guidelines. So it's most important that you guys know. Now, let me jump into another share screen here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pause. And then we'll go into the application process of revenue-based funding. We can go into the application process of credit-based. We can do it on collateral. But for this one, I want to focus on specific qualifications, and we'll close up here soon. So let me give you guys a quick pre-frame on this. Perhaps you've seen this document, so please hang in there with me. I know we all need a refresher. I need a refresher for things from time to time. So it's okay, don't worry. But what I'm about to show you is a document that I may leave down below on top of that free business credit building video series. And in this, they'll show you a lot of different options that I put together, and it's very precise. And it's also something that you might see somewhat when I send you the questionnaire, but it's more customized when I send you that questionnaire email response. That's why it's best to do that if you haven't, down below in the description. Uh, but this will go into other options that I recommend and what are best in this market, like SBA loan lenders, revenue-based lenders, collateral-based, and it won't give you the all of them that I do when I do send you like a questionnaire email once you fill that out. And a lot of those don't make sense usually, or they do, but I'm like, don't go to those because they wouldn't work best, or that wouldn't work. We can work up towards it, but for now, you have to work on this specific service. So for many of you out here who are like, how much can I get? What are the terms? What are the rates? And that's a very general question to a very general answer. I can go deeply depending on where we are with time and energy. But what you should know at the end of the day is, do you have credit? Do you have cash flow? Do you have collateral? Do you have one of the three, two of the three, or all three? And I go in depth. You just can't find a lot of this online, blogs, YouTube videos, unless you're watching my content, because I work with those lenders directly. I have a brokerage where I have those direct lender partnerships, but it's better to do it indirectly. But I can go to them for that help and see what I can do, what's best for you. And so I go deep into these things. I have meetings with them. So I get to unveil and unpackage the things that are happening day to day in operations and management and what the lenders are looking for. Can they collect money from the banks? Because that's how a lot of these lenders get their money back, or get their money to start with, or get more of it. And there's other means that they go ahead and recuperate that cost by going ahead and getting their money back after they loan you, and they get their money back, and then they recirculate that money to others. And if they need to get more, where do they pull from? There's other resources. So right here, this is the document that I may leave. It might be a different one in time, but let's go through this. Before you click through the application, which I'll walk through at the end of this, I'll go into how this works as well. I may have told you, not in this video though, that was about a different video. And just so you know, down below, I'll leave this 0% interest program. Actually, that's where I want to begin. Let me move down to this first, because we were on the topic of business credit. So I have this credit line hybrid option that I help people get, myself and my internal team, where we go to work on your behalf from certain banks, top banks, low banks, and we see how much we can actually get you in multiple business credit cards. It's a credit card stacking program. So think about just adding vendor credit. You can start off with the credit line hybrid or the vendor credit program, or you can flip-flop. And at the same time, you can do that. And guess what? If you have low credit on the personal side, you can work on credit repair, credit increases. I have those videos down below. So if you guys want to know what my number one recommendation is for credit repair, and I've worked with this guy, I know him personally, and in business, I have to outsource it now. I used to do some of this stuff with software back in the days, but I'm focused on funding and other ventures right now. But he does an exceptional job, very punctual and disciplined. And if you know, you know. And I'll leave that information down below. And if you are serious, of course, and I'll leave information about like the features and benefits, why it's different, why it's best. You save more money at the end of the day. That money you can be putting back into your family, not even just your business. But that could be the difference of saving $500 to $1,000 as opposed to going to some of these higher ups that may not work or be as efficient, and they just charge you more laws on this and that, lawyers on this on top of that, and it's always not as effective. And so this can be a savings towards a vacation. Go to Disney World, go to Orlando, go to Anaheim, and go to Disneyland and do all the fun stuff you like to. So there's more to it than just saying I can put this money back into my business. Of course, you got to understand your finances though. So everybody's different. But this is the credit card stacking program where you should have a 700 and above on all three consumer credit bureaus. So it isn't like the vendor credit where we're not asking for the 700 and above. It used to be 680, but on all three consumer credit bureaus. And if you have around a 670 or 680, we will look at it and try to consider it. You might only have high balances. And if that's the case on all those revolving accounts, then when we may then be able to get a payday loan option that I've helped out a lot of people with. They do this all the time. And that's how you may qualify. You can also get a credit partner that has at least 10% ownership in the business, or in other words, a guarantor if you need to. There have been circumstances where then friends and family can help. And that can be as a means a little bit later on. If it changes in the beginning, you'll be aware of that. But somebody with 10% ownership in a lot of cases, what we're looking at. Let me see here. I want to open up my other document just to make sure, because I heard back from a certain lender on a specific topic. I want to make sure I have that. Okay, so yeah, that didn't change on that front because the market shifts. I want to make sure I have that information ready for you. And I don't gather everything from my lenders, just so you guys know. A lot of this is also based on experience. If you're wondering, do I really know my stuff? I get people funded every single day on the business, on the real estate side, whatever these projects entail. I'm helping out people daily, whether it's a phone call or not. It doesn't always have to be. It's email, text, and it has to make sense for me to be on a call with someone so I'm not wasting my energy and time, nor are they. And I get a lot of people who do this, but they don't do it. So there's pretenders and action takers. Character matters a lot, guys, and reputation, but character is the mold that takes your business to the other level. So making sure you have that, and I won't get into that topic too much in this one. I know you guys probably have heard me say this. Here he goes. But it's very true. And I share with you guys things that other people wouldn't be sharing with you. And that's the stuff that you guys need to value, what you don't get from others and what you don't hear. You just have to sometimes read between the lines and watch between them, per se. So here, you can get up to 150, if not 250,000 in the combination of corporate credit cards and more. And how about liquidating these cash out of these cards and you can use them for any investment you choose. So the advantage of this is at times with certain cards and issuers, you may be able to only take up to 80%, sometimes 85, sometimes a whole percentage of it. But a lot of the times you see up to 80% liquidation from these cards and value, etc. But still, that's plenty of it. You get a card for 50,000, you don't take 50,000 out, yeah, but 80% of that and so forth on balances and more we have to consider. That's still a lot. And then you have another card you want to take money out of. So it's not just that one card you're dependent on. And so a lot of businesses and real estate investors love this that I've helped them get, whether you can qualify for other options or not. This can be an addition on top of that new construction build where you have the line of credit, you're building more real estate, a fix and flip. Those are great for this program. And if you're somebody who can't use credit cards, you just can't swipe your credit card to go purchase property, and you want to take the cash out of these to then use them to make property purchases, down payments, and whatever it is you need to, whatever the type of property is. And I funded a lot of clients with these, and I work with the best lenders and underwriters, just so you guys know. How I talk, usually it's slow. I want to get past through this, but if you've heard, you know. And so I take my time and I help you guys out very thoroughly. And I think you guys would appreciate that in my transparency and my professionalism. And you have to question out there who's actually working at your best interest as a person and in business. So I'm not going to go through all the benefits because I want to go into an application with a specific revenue-based service that a lot of you can check out that I'll leave down below in the description. But you can get an approval with 0% for 6 to 18 months. I've even seen 20, 21 months if you get some certain cards. And I made a video on this the other day. I went live on it where I show you guys fair and good to excellent business credit cards. And what if you don't have fair credit? Maybe you secure it with the deposit or you work on your credit. And then we can add in addition, maybe it's a personal term loan. You go from a certain score to a 650 or 680 usually, FICO Experian. Then we look at your personal tax returns. And then from that point, you may be looking at a business acquisition where you don't have the money to put down or for a startup. And there's so many different derivatives of them. So 24, and this is what I didn't say here, is giving you the best program terms in the country by far, by far. This is so flexible. It's better than always just saying, I'm going to go get a loan. Well, there's a place for a loan. There's a place for an advance. This can be an addition to it and a subtraction to it and a multiplier as well as a division. So benefits here, 24-hour pre-approval, 0% interest, like I said, startups, true no-doc financing program. And that's a huge plus for those of you who are looking for no-doc financing. I know those of you out there who are searching for the no-doc loans, Navy Federals, you may be getting something there, you don't. But the business credit, I want my business credit profile to look like this, and it's reporting my equipment purchases, and I'm doing that. And some of them, like the Navy Federals of the world with those business credit cards, they won't necessarily report, and it may be a positive, it may be a negative. So if you don't want it to show up on your report so you can purchase more vehicles or whatever it is you're trying to do, inventory, growth, and expansion reasons, everybody has a purpose. And you can even add those on top of these. So don't rely on only one source, guys. That's the primary message here. Application to funding, it's in 3 weeks or less. No upfront application fee. Credit approvals up to 150K, even more than that, like I said, per individual. And think about it. If you needed more, you can bring on a credit partner. You can bring on a friend or family member at that time when you're building as well. No collateral requirements. So you don't have to give up any kind of invested equity. You don't have to take money out to put money into the deal. None of that. I've even seen people fund not just their startups, but the startups of a new acquisition. That makes sense. They have a business and they're using it to start another business and then acquire another business. I've seen that a lot. Vice versa as well. But for those of you who are like even building ground up construction projects, whether it's a commercial property, residential with residential lots, this is what a lot of people turn to. And this can be an addition on top of something else, or it can be the primary. And because you don't have the equity injection to add maybe into an SBA loan, you don't have that cash on hand, that upfront costs and those post-closing liquidity that could amount to more specifically when you look for a higher amount of an approval. But I do those every day, guys. Ask me the questions. I'm here. I don't always have to turn to my lenders and underwriters or my team. I know these things through because of experience, because I'm in the market. I'm a very educated person, and I'll be able to help you along the way. And if you submitted the questionnaire, guys, and you're watching this, I'll get back to you guys soon. I've had quite a few of you who have, and my Fridays and Saturdays are my catch-up days. So if I don't do it today, I'm going to try to do it tomorrow and Saturday. But give me a nudge in case I just missed it or I have you on my list, but now I moved you up even higher because you're responsive. But I'll get back to a majority of you. And it happens where I get flooded, so it's okay. You work with the best. This is what happens. And patience is a virtue, like they say. No collateral, as I said. Ability to use credit partners to qualify if needed. If you have multiple business partners, that's very helpful. No cash flow requirements. So no profit and loss, no personal tax returns and all that. Now, if you have a business, it may be beneficial for you. And they'll want to see just so you can probably get a higher approval amount and there's legitimacy and you say what you say. Can we prove that? And verifiable income. And it will be in your best interest, but not a lot of them will ask for that. The majority of them won't. Qualification, 700 plus credit. Credit card 3 years old with a 5,000 plus limit. Must be a primary card. Minimum of 2 open revolving accounts within a year and a half of good payment history. Under 40% utilization on all, not just one, revolving accounts. No more than 4 unsecured accounts open in the past 12 months. No more than 4 to 6 inquiries per bureau in the last 6 months, preferably less. So when you get to less than 680 or 700 credit, you normally see a 650 we can try, but we can use a payday loan to pay that down to get you to 680. But ideally in this market, 700 and above to use credit card stacking. Now, do you need to have a 700 to get a business credit card? No, but it's best because you want to have an optimized credit profile and you can liquidate the cash out of these 0% interest business credit cards. You're not getting something with a lower limit either. So preferably less on that. Flexible, honestly, 4 to 6 inquiries, where some of them others would say 3 in no more than 6 months or 12 months. Others would say no more than 2 per credit bureau if you have a lower credit score in the last 6 months or so. So no bankruptcies within the past 7 years. You can even see it display on your credit report up to 7-10 years. That's another topic for another time. A lot of private lenders, just so in case you didn't know this, they look at files and they say, well, if you have something certainly that shows over 12 months, they don't want to see something underneath or up to 12 months, over 12 months. That's where they'll look at it per case base and say, well, this has been removed or this has been fully paid, but it hasn't been removed. And they're willing to work with you, where certain banks wouldn't allow that. But it's just per case base and what you're applying to, of course. And so this program does require a personal guarantee, which is fine. And if you don't want to get a personal guarantee, I mean, you have the business vendor credit. Yes, you have certain business credit cards where you don't have to use a personal guarantee. I won't get into all of those in this video. Look down below. I'll leave that video where I go into those cards. And I kind of highlight a little bit about the no PG cards and what you have to do to get those. And from you or your credit partner, if you use one, no authorized users accounts for qualification. So you can't just say, I want to get listed underneath a joint account or with somebody else's credit. And that's how then I go and apply. No, that wouldn't work. How it works in 4 simple steps. Step 1, you complete the form for a one-on-one consultation with my internal team and representatives. Step 2, you submit your application. This is a soft pull on your credit so we can see what you have. We can't say we're going to get you some cards and do it blindly. We have to have it step by step. Step 3, get pre-qualified in as little as 24 hours, a quick turnaround. Step 4, you meet with our team, our credit line advisor team, and you get access to credit lines, myself and my team included, etc. We're there to help you along the way and do things on our back end. If you are not approved, you will find out why, as well as what you can do to get approved. So that's the great thing, especially when you work through someone like me, you get those answers and even more. There is a one-time success fee of 9.9% that is due after you have received access to your credit lines. If you don't get approved, you don't pay. Best of all, you can use your new 0% credit lines to pay the success fee. Now, I want to mention something about that, and then we'll get into the revenue-based. And then we'll close up here underneath, try to close it underneath 40 minutes. I didn't show you the whole why is it 9.9%. And so I want to get into that now and be very transparent. How many of you in here actually move forward with something? 1, but 2, move forward, but you get it less of an approval. And then 3, how many of you actually know the amount of work it takes for myself and my team to fulfill on it? And so that 9.9% is relatively low when you consider the amount of work, the amount of maximum funding we can get you, myself with my experts as well, and what we're allowing you to see and what you can do and what can report. So it's not as simple as just going into a bank and thinking, I'm going to apply for that Chase Ink card and I'm going to get approved. Or if I get approved, am I going to get enough? And now you're running up accounts, you're running up inquiries, you can't remove them enough, you don't know how to remove them. And when you do remove them, it's too late and you're looking for funding now and you're expecting this amount of money that you should have received 6 months ago. But if you would have done it this way. So there's a lot of mistakes people make when it comes to this. So if you have that 700 credit score on all three, great. If you don't, we can work towards it. And if you have a minimum of a 680 Experian, but not on the other ones and you can't wait, we can do somewhat of a business credit card association. It might not be 0% and you can't liquidate the cash out sometimes with these, but we have personal term loans, personal lines of credit. We might have to get you an installment/term loan instead on a lump sum instead of a credit line in the meantime. And then you get your scores up and then we can work on that credit card stacking program. So everybody's in a different position. I won't cover other types of personal funding. So if you don't have the credit for that, I'll leave more information down below, but the questionnaire is where you want to get started. And so the amount of work it takes to fulfill maximum funding, and you're getting free money at the end of the day. And there's many more things I could say here why it's so low at a 9.9%. And there's other things where we look at the total amount of credit lines we give you, and there's a percentage of that. So we can look at things a little bit different if so. But here's what you see here with that success fee, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that, especially when you consider the like ERC credit. If you don't know, you can get up to $26,000 per employee in a refundable payroll tax credit. And that's running out fast, April 2024 or if April 2025, depending on 2020 and 2021 calendar years. So I'll leave information of that. You have to have W-2 employees to qualify with one or more certain qualifications. So that page will be down below. And I'm helping out a lot of people with that right now. And they're getting approvals, high approvals, and even low approvals, but they're getting something and they can use that, put it back into their business for being able to retain their employees. So application will be there. There may be more options here that I leave in this document. If you see the document down below, it might be updated a little bit, but there's my credit repair. There's, first of all, I have fixing, increasing your FICO credit score, and I have resources for that I've created video content on. And there's stuff where I have on where if there's a percentage of your payment history, what does that display? What percentage of is it in that? What would it show for on that percentage and another one, etc. Credit repair. This is my absolute number one recommendation. And if it were ever to change, you'll know if it did. But for credit repair, if those of you who are wondering, well, I've tried, I've exhausted, and you're just putting it off. Let's be honest. As an expert in this space, having seen this with friends and family and so many people who are in a position where they're just looking for grants, or I'll have that in this document and I'll try to leave information to that down below. We can access the document on it. But just relying on grants, relying on the 10K grant on an EIDL loan, relying on just getting that. And I get it. You were set back on your personal credit. Everybody has a different circumstance. I'm not going to be bashful and say, well, you should get your personal credit up, but we should find a way to work towards getting it up and forward. And if what I haven't shown you today is an evidence that you should start building your vendor credit and start getting access to business credit and start actually getting these business credit cards at the same time, you can work with both of them or opposite of that. And then you're working on your personal credit, bringing it up from a 580. Now you're at a 650, 670. You got to pay down a few high balances, but that'll reflect on my card in about a month. And then I'll have it at a 680, Michael. Now I qualify for that personal term loan. And then now I'm able to get access to an acquisition of a business. Now I have that down payment that I took out on a personal loan I can use. And if then you're like, well, I'm fundable now and I have a hard or a lot of amount, I don't want to say hard money, but if I have a lot of money now where I can use it as cash in an investment and what I need to do, I have that. I don't have to worry about these sleazy grants all the time. They're not always sleazy, but it takes forever to get approved for and they go away and it's so cumbersome. And a lot of people, they ask me for that. And when you guys have a realization of, hey, there's business credit, there's personal credit, and this is how you got to move up levels. And I might show you guys at the end of this video, but let's continue forward here. So credit repair, I give you guys a walk down on the details of it, the benefits, the costs for this. And so make sure you go through that. I won't go through all that right now, but it shows you there. Make sure you read it. Take the time to. There will be links there. Fill out a quick questionnaire that it comes through, and then I can go through that with my team, submit it to them, and we go over things. And there's a credit service agreement with a few more documents, and then you're on your way there. You're being able to send out dispute letters. We can help you with that, my team. And from there, you're moving forward. It's very simple. Put those code numbers next to those subject lines. Boom. Fancy them out. We got you. We'll take care of you. Boom. And sent out. And so there it is. And we go down here, building business credit. This may be here. And so this is what you're going to get access to. This is the first part of this video that I showed you on the video series. You can pick up vendor credit and even get content to credit lines and so forth, if it's still there. And then business credit cards, I have more of that. Fuel cards, home equity line of credit, home equity loan, 401k, IRA financing, stocks and mutual funds. You have marginal accounts, financial guarantee bonds, employee retention credit, conclusions, the questionnaire, real estate financing, the whole shebang. And that's why you fill out the questionnaire, because you'll get more than this, and I'll guide you and I'll navigate you and I'll put the first option that's best for you. There's equipment options. There's online bank term loans if you qualify, FDIC, offline. But it's another question of if you qualify. So let's go into this last part and we'll close up. So like I said up here, you can scroll down to the very conclusion of this document if you still have it. But here, for qualifications of the revenue-based funding without collateral, please read over this carefully and all else from this point forward. So it's kind of like, somebody at a TSA. I think that's somewhat of a good example. I used to see my cousin who was working as a TSA agent back in the day. But if you know, when you go through an airport, they don't do it all the time. But hey, we need baggages here. We need it. And I'm not shouting. If you've been in the airport and sometimes you see them shouting, you're like, what is he raising his, or she raising her voice for? I'm just trying to get through like everybody else. But, they have to do their part. So they don't always do that. Just kind of a somewhat of an example, probably not the best one. You're operating for profit, nonprofit does not qualify. And so this is for revenue based now. We're talking about getting those hybrid advance cash advances / term loan options, usually between 3 to 24 months. There's a traditional merchant cash advance. I still have those lenders, but I don't always work with traditional, just credit card statements. I have a hybrid advance / term loan where it encompasses all revenue coming into the business, everything. It's less based on credit. This is the cash flow, not the credit part, not based on collateral. So it's cash flow, revenue based, month-to-month bank statements. And again, I'll try to leave more information down below. But you're operating for profit. Nonprofit does not qualify. Do you have, and there's circumstances where a nonprofit could, we'll have to look at the state of articles of incorporation and more, but it's still hard. There are circumstances where it's a nonprofit, but how you're collecting money, we have to look at that and revise that. Do you have a business checking account? Must be in the name of your business, not a personal account that you use for business. If you're using a personal account for business, you go to the self-employed, gig worker funding down below, and it's in green heading. And these options, as we've been seeing, they'll be separated by green heading. And not transferring funds from personal to business. Don't be doing that. Or you might not know, so you've been doing this. It's okay if you didn't know. But that does not count as stated true organic revenue. What I mean by that is if you're moving in, this is called pretty much commingling funds. There's other ways you can commingle funds and other definitions of it and other ways of interpreting that, if you may. But for this example on the revenue based, and we're looking at these bank statements, if you're taking money from your personal account, whatever it is from, you have Chime, you have Moneyline, you got a lot of different options out there that are available, a Chase personal account, Wells Fargo personal, whatever you're doing, there could be so many examples of it. But you're taking money, let's say of an example, $500, and you're moving that $500 now into your business checking account. There's so many reasons why you're doing that, and you may know what you're doing or not. You may have a personal loan where you're now starting to generate a little bit of revenue, but you don't have a business checking account. And you're putting that money into a personal account that then you're moving into a business account. So that's a red flag to us too. And so what we want ideally is a business checking account where if you have multiple as well, as I do, I have ones for certain reasons, for cash flow, projections, profitability, and other things I don't take money out of, excuse me. And so I'm time sensitive. I got to get back to things in a few. But if you know this, especially as you grow as a business owner and you have multiple businesses, you have to be as organized as possible. You don't want to always put everything all in one account. You have multiple business checking accounts, of course, and you start building blocks over time. So that's how it begins. But for this, you want to make sure you do that. And if you're moving from business to business, we'll want to look at those accounts. If they're all underneath one banking institution, fine. And can we verify it? Sometimes the lender will not want to bring up your other accounts and they'll just know, and we'll know too, and say, well, this is not verifiable. We can't track that. Or the way that they're depositing is just, it's too much infrequency, or it's just a lot of it being deposited, but more being withdrawn. And there's a lot of factors, but we'll look at those other accounts as well if we need to and say, okay, you have money in this account, but this is your main revenue business account that you applied with. You have extra money here for the products and services. Why wasn't that put here? Okay, there was a time where I was doing this, but more money should have been going here. We can factor that amount in. We want to know those electronic transfers, those wire transfers, and more. So right here is online banking setup. Of course, you got to have this these days. We're in a new age, in a new time. I don't want to get all historical on you, but a lot of it is through PDF format, and a lot of this is link banking, specifically when you have less revenue. It's more automated. Other ones are more manual with higher revenue requirements and more because of the amount of time and energy it takes to go through these files. 450 plus FICO credit, although 500 plus is best, if not 550 for lower revenue. Below 15,000, but you can still get a look. 4+ months time in business. Sometimes you see 3 months if you're doing an account like this with a personal account with lower funding revenue, or with lower revenue, I should say. 4+ months again. If you're a startup, you can go to the green heading that reads personal business startup loan option. And I kind of went over that earlier with the installment/term loans and go through that as well. And there's more underneath it. 3 months of revenue, at least 5K plus per month. And on your lowest month, 5,000 plus, at least 3 to 4 months plus of deposits per month is best, is what we look for. The more, the better. What I want to say to this, and we'll close up here. I know we're going over time. But the depositing, that varies depending on each business, the month, the season. It is a lot. And I've gone through this with a lot of business owners. So I've seen it all. There's literally not one thing that comes up where I go, how? No, I go, I've seen that. I know that. And I can give you the best response, unless someone else who out there is like, hey, I'm creating a video, just click the link down below, and you fall because they have a lot of views. Not because somebody has a lot of views on their video doesn't necessarily mean they are best, or because they have the best amount of following. That doesn't mean that. Some of my videos go bigger, other ones are lower, but I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at impact. And you have to understand the platform you're on. YouTube won't always recommend certain videos. They don't do it as frequently, or they don't do it as much for certain ones, or they don't have the algorithms displaying a lot because it's oversaturated now. So you have to go through the top to get to the bottom. And a lot of that content you will have to go through to find mine. And some of it, yeah, it's already up here. But other ones you're like, no. Do they really know their stuff? See, I look at these things. I don't know if you do, but it matters tremendously. This is the difference between you starting an application, between you getting pre-approved and not. Instead of just giving somebody your information, whether they're going to contact you with 14, 15 different lenders or not, you don't want to just give everybody and anybody your information, guys. Be very careful. Be studious like I am on that. You're depositing your funds into one primary business checking account and not transferring with multiple accounts over and over again. I was just thinking of that song. I can't think over and over again. It's kind of weird. I don't know. My brain sometimes works like that, which looks suspicious and is hard to track, especially if it's those online transfer from checking. If you guys see these, or if not, that's what they will look like. And there's multiple ways of looking at this. Let me move this. And comes from like a vendor or similar, then it wouldn't be counted as true deposits, as otherwise as organic revenue. And be stated revenue if you have multiple business checking account transfers. We just went over this earlier, so I'm going to go over that. No more than 5 non-sufficient funds, NSFs for shorts, or negative days in any of the last 3 months. Example, bounce checks, and many, many more. I can get into this deeply. Overdrafts, etc. If you're falling behind on any current merchant cash advance hybrids, whatever that is, or similar, like a week or so, you literally won't qualify unless it's like extreme where we know your situation and we go, you'll have the money in your account 2 weeks from now. But if we see a reoccurring pattern, we know you don't have enough money in your account, we see your average daily, average month, it's like we can't allow that to continue. Why will we get you another position if you can't currently pay your ones you have, or that one? Current loan consideration. If you have a current capital advance, the amount you still owe will be taken into consideration and cause a reduction in your approval amount. More funds, second to fourth positions may be available. If you have an existing cash advance / term loan, as we like to call them now, but they're literally cash advances in this space, and that's literally what the market is for right now, it will cause a reduction in what you can get. And if you had more positions, you may not get anything at all. This goes with the same with all business loans, all business funding. But if it's idle that you have, then it's only okay. Then it could also be PPP or an ERC. Those usually don't have an effect to it. when you're getting these types of funding, then it's okay. They are not correlated and really shouldn't cause a reduction unless otherwise, but really wouldn't. Consolidation, we can give you either a second position if you don't already have one where you don't have to pay off your first one, or we give you a large loan and you pay off your first and you net the difference. And so there's also reverse consolidation. A lot of people ask me about debt consolidation, and I'll try to leave more content down below or I'll continue to create more. But if not, it's okay. And so I help you guys with this on the back end. And this is one example, but you don't want to get yourself caught in a situation where you have multiple advances and you're just trying to take out more just to stay over on your overhead. You're just trying to stay above it in your expenses. And you just can't resurface fast enough. And that money's being used to pay expenses. And now you got all these other things. You got more money coming out of your account than what you can keep in. And so that's a bad sign of bad finance management. And if you guys need to learn more about that, I'll try to leave resources for you down below. But if not in the course yet, I'll try to add more to it. I have a free course that I may be charging people over time. And this is something that I could be charging literally thousands upon thousands of money on that I spent years of putting together. And it's A to Z. If you guys want to check it out, it's down below. I will get in as soon as possible. And there's nothing else out there like this that's been created. I've been looking out for something like this. Who knows their stuff? That's who I go to. You want to go to the go-to person, and I believe I'm that person for you. And if you need somebody who can handle documents, who can analyze, evaluate them, and understand them correctly, there you go. I got somebody here. It's like speaking in a third person or a second person. I got somebody here who can help you understand how to navigate those, I guess, treacherous waters that a lot of us find ourselves in. So back into this. Now have a default with another advance/loan company, regardless of how long ago. You usually don't get any more funding in this industry with the default, although there are some that will be able to work with you, but it's very seldom. There's like 1 to 2 lenders that may be able to help. Start with a lot less if you get anything at all, lower terms, higher rates. You have to prove yourself, and then you can get more. There can also be a default with a judgment in place, which doesn't make it any better, and then you default on a lump sum. No lender will take lines of credit for you or try to lend you a line of credit with that. It's usually what happens. Background checks. If your background report comes back with a criminal record or past financial issues and past UCC filings too, then it can be an automatic decline. But if it's very reasonable, it's something that happened way long ago and you learned your lessons, even better that you've taken out funding before in the past and you've proven to make those payments, yeah, we're willing to work with you. I understand those backgrounds. I've worked with a lot of people who have that. I've had family who's been in that situation too. And I'm very compassionate and very respectful. And I love you guys. You guys are family to me. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you for always being there. And it proves, when you learn something, you come through something and you just become this new revitalized, rejuvenated person. I've been there and it happens to me still to this day, plenty of times. So if you've changed your ways and done things differently and the business is also set up correctly and so forth, not used for real estate investments like fix and flips, rentals, etc., passive investments for a home, primary residences. Use the personal business/startup loan funding for that and the credit line hybrid below that we kind of more or less went into later below, or traditional real estate financing with private lenders with my real estate specific form. If it's commercial, we could try to do SBA, residential, lots, ground up construction projects. We can do it with a different format. So I'll not have issues with financial fraud, past default judgment in place, submitted altered bank statements to another lender. I know those of you who have done this, please don't do this and go through an application with me if you know. Especially if you know. Usually I'd let people know this before we get started. And that's just energy and time wasted on my part and on my team. And I'm very punctual and disciplined on these things. And I look back on them and go, this person knew. But they also knew that they wanted to game the system or gamify it. So I gave them about 5 to 10 minutes of my time. They wanted a phone call. They wanted this, but they weren't being truthful about that. I'm not just going to always be the information guy. And I told somebody today on a phone call, if you're here watching or watching later, very respectfully, and I hope you understand, and now you understand. But like I told people, like the reason why I do things via email instead of a phone call, at least initially, until I send you your options, your questionnaire back, and then if you need clarity on something at that point, and if it makes sense to, maybe then a phone call does make sense. And then we build more rapport. Great, you already got to see my content. You know that from me already. And it even involves even more past just getting the initial amount of funding. But the reason why I don't always do that is because there are tire kickers. There are people who come for a short time and then they respond back with something like they try to go do something on my back and they were unloyal. And then they come back to me and email me. And I'm like, I was expecting a response from you 4 months ago. You even neglected my own partner. You even, my team member, my lender, you even neglected responding back to me because you were upset. or for what? That doesn't give you the excuse. And so these are things that are based on character. See, these are things you may not have yet, which I'm not going to discount, but I'm not going to also bash people on. Is it's the character. So if I have to have a setback, I have a rebound and I do it really quickly. It happened, move on. Next step. Boom. Whether it's moving on to another person, another project, the main task at hand, this is what I need to do. Move on. Now it's time for my family. They're my devotion. They're what I love. I'm going to spend time with them. I'm going to go with my nieces and nephews. I'm going to give them my time. I'm not going to be on my phone like this every single second unless I really needed to. So you guys have to understand punctuality and discipline. And I'm not being aggressive or I'm not being negative. This is something that I think you guys love to hear. And you go, man, I wish I had somebody who would at least show me and at least tell me these things. And that's who I want to ride or die with. That's the person that I'm looking for when I go with someone. So right here, the application, I'm going to go into that in just a second. But underneath this, I go into how it works. And I go into some of the discrepancies on what would happen in case you didn't have a specific amount of revenue. So for example, if you're doing 20,000 a month, but on your lowest month in the last 3 months or 4 months, depending on the state, you did 7,000. Well, you're looking to get 100,000. It might not even work to begin with. It could be a credit factor. It could be multiple reasons that you won't get that. You have to start somewhere, but you're probably going to get somewhere around 5,250 or so to about 14,000 at that point. Even if you're averaging 30,000, but you had a low month of 7,000, like you got to think about that. What is the lender looking at? Current revenue. They're looking at also projection value and where you can be, but they're looking at those statements and saying, well, when did that $7,000 month, myself included, I'm looking at all of this, the bank statements and all of it with myself only and or my team. So I do these things very productively, as of course my team too, because it's through underwriting. But what happens is if that 7K month, when was that month? And so if you're telling me now based on this video that 7K month was in December, we're going into April now. So if it's 7K in December, we drop that 7K month. The other ones you're doing maybe on your lowest month now, 22, 25,000, and it's above, and you're increasing your average. So from 30,000, now you're going to 40,000 perhaps, and perhaps more or less. So we look at now January through March, January, February, March. We might look at 4 months. And if you're in California in certain states, so you might have to wait a little bit of time. If you're okay with that, or if you're not okay with it and you need an additional amount now, that's where you begin. But January through March, those are the 3 months that we're looking at. You're applying in April. But now you don't have that 7K month dragging you down and lowering the amount you can get. So you have a better minimum and maximum ballpark range at what we're looking for. Of course, we still have to look at the bank statements. Apologize, guys, if it's dark. I'm not sure why it does that. It goes in and out. But let me go into the application process. But underneath here, there's more. There's even the underwriting guidelines. So you guys have no doubt, no questions, some examples that are not based on you. But if you submit that questionnaire, I'll show you some ballpark numbers, some derivatives, some extra stuff. But here it is. As you can see, no questions asked. This is the very best, the cream of the top. I have the best lenders. This is for the advanced term loan. There's, of course, bank term loans. There's those options that are in this document, as you saw already, as we scrolled up, and more if you qualify. And those don't always make sense. Don't always try to look for the longest term. If I can pay something off quick and I know I don't need a longer time for my overall total cost of financing to be more, even if my repayment is less, I'm going to take that chance. And if I'm going to double grow my revenue and triple, quadruple it, it even makes more sense. So think about it that way and what you can qualify for. So I have on my screen here in 1 second, and I'm going to close up here. I know we've gone over time, way over it. I wanted to show you this on Canva. So I might put this on screen really quickly before, and I'll come over to another one in a second. But if you saw this video the other day, I spoke about the pattern of going up the funding ladder. So you have to start somewhere. This is building your entity, your business name, address. And if you're a sole proprietor, maybe you're doing things differently to begin with, taxes, doing all this part. And then you're going into startup funding, personal credit cards, business credit cards, the term loans, lines of credits on the personal side. And then you're going up here another level where we're working on revenue-based solutions to then collateral, FDIC banks, lines of credit, business term loans, SBA loans, and the list can go on and on thereafter. And there's a lot of little things in between all of this. Vendor credit, you can go through a lot of little steps, but I help you guys maximize unsecured financing. And if you need collateral-based, I can do that as well. Unsecured, secured, non-collateral, with collateral, depending on your situation, I can work with you on that, and I have the experts in it. So 1 second, let me open up another screen here, and I'll walk you through this process. And this is it. Okay, so I'll leave this down below in the description, and I have a very unique partnership with specific lenders and organizations on this, and I've looked at very thoroughly, and I've helped out a lot of people get funding through them. So I'll link it down below in the description so you can check it out. But I'm going to walk you through the application sequence and then where I'm able to do things on the back end. So one second, let me move this over. Okay. Oh, well, I didn't really need to put that. And so here, let me go through this rather quickly because of time. So it'll be down below. And sometimes the lenders don't always like you showing them, and because they want to be more exclusive, or they don't always want to be publicly known out there where people are reviewing their content and doing it that way. There are moments where I can, but it's better this way. That way it's not getting so diluted and people have their own impression about it being wrong. And it really isn't. This is the best of what I've seen work out there. But what I'm looking at here is you're going to go through the business capital tab, and there's a majority of them. You have from business capital to line of credit, self-employed funding, equipment, asset-backed, employee pay advances, employee retention credit, payment processing, and there may be more over time. But I'm clicking right now on the business capital. One second. And then you'll go through this page. It doesn't give you everything like I've given you, but it gives you a quick rundown of what to expect, some qualifications simply. And there's our meet or beat guarantee. I want you to know that there's this specific service now that we've come up with that if you have another offer, whether it's competitive or not, maybe you try to search for things. Usually we beat things. Myself with my internal team, I've seen that a lot. We've gone business owners upwards of 200,000 where somewhere they were getting only 100, 150,000, or somebody who was getting only approved for 15,000, but we were approving them for 95,000, not even close. And how? Because of my personal and business relationships that I'm able to leverage. And so these are great things. And so let me continue with it. And you get a $500 gift card if we can't beat your offer. And of course, you have to prove us that you have something that you haven't signed yet. That's how we're going to verify just by your word. It doesn't work that way. And so simple and fast and a few things. And I go through the qualifications here. Now let me click on another button that should bring up an external tab. And this is a step-by-step process. So step one, you are going to apply. You're going to complete the simple application, and then you will be done in minutes. Literally, it doesn't take a lot of time. I'm looking at it right now. And you will enter your information, name, last name, first name, or the opposite, first, last name. That's all be in the field. Company name, mobile phone required, email required, country, is it United States or is it Canada? So it's a very streamlined application process and very, very simple to understand. So right here, you'll go ahead and click submit. But on the left-hand side, step two, link bank or upload statements. So it depends on the lender. If you have lower revenue, we'll take you to a lower revenue lender. And there's some other contingencies involved, but usually it's manually, where we're doing a revision on a lot of this. So depending on the funding type and amount, you will be approved simply by verifying and linking your bank account or by uploading your bank statements, which we do a lot of that on our back end and we look at. Step three, you receive your offer and then you get funded. With most fundings, you will receive an instant offer on the screen. With larger fundings and lines of credit, you will receive an offer via email within 1 hour to 1 business day. So very quick turnaround. This is quick money. Of course, it's going to be medium to higher rates, but depends on where you are in the market. I'm not saying you have to, but if it's what's best for you, then we can revisit things. A lot of people go, I want this money, but you don't have the credit. You don't have the time and business. You don't have the revenue. You don't have like, how do we expect you to get this? You're not even having a business credit profile. You don't have anything on your business credit. Your personal credit's been doing this. And so, like, you got to meet me in a position where it's going to make sense for you. And I'm going to do what's in your best interest at the end of the day. Oops, excuse me. Now, let me go back to this. So step four, last one, you share the great news and you can save. And you can go through this Connect Cash program that we have. And literally, you can save thousands on this and you can pay your balance off much faster. It's very unique. Not everybody has this. This is why you want to leverage a partnership through me. And I have those little creeks. So if something were to change, or I know it's about a new lender that came up that it's worth working with, or there's an old one that changed something, but you should be well aware of what they have now, I'll be there to help you. And so you can use this funding to pay down your balance much faster, pay it off sooner. And if you refer someone, let's say, for example, this is how it works. You refer somebody. When you get funded, you can refer someone in your network or outside of that. I can help you if you bring somebody to me. I can give you a percentage of what I make. I'm okay with doing that. Definitely okay with that. And I'm very honest. I pay people on that. And so if let's say you did it that way, okay, they get funding, but you'll usually get a code yourself or a link that they can go through. So you get the credit for it. And you get that 2% on all their fundings is what you can earn. And or 1% on all employee retention credits. So you're paying this off much faster. And more things are evolving. So it's best to keep up to date with these things. I think that's where I want to leave it. Last thing, we're just at about an hour. Let me bring this on screen and we'll close up shop. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to look through some of my other tabs to make sure I didn't miss anything. No, I went through that. This is my 4-step system on getting funded in less than 60 or 90 days with business credit cards. That video I made separately. I'll link you to down below in the description. This one I don't need. I was working with one of my SBA loan lenders. These are just some of my emails. You guys can't see confidential information from certain clients. That's just my editor on my YouTube channel. This one is, of course, confidential. I have credit cards that have been issued to certain clients. This one, no. Covered that one already. The video series, that's the inside of it, which I want you guys to make sure you guys get access to. That I'll leave down below. And it's sequential videos. You'll see some one after the next one in multiple resources. And I think I want to end it with, let me see if this is it. Okay. So this is the questionnaire that I've been speaking about. If you don't know, I'll leave you this down below in the description, but you can get the funding your business needs fast with the help from a real expert. This is no joke, guys. If you are joking around, if you are, because I always say this, it's not me who has the problem or issues. Not at this point in my career and my businesses. I can leave this industry anytime I want. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it for the value. It's a passion of mine. I like helping business owners and making sure that I can stimulate the economy through you guys, understanding the intricacies, just even doing the math and the numbers. I love a lot of that. That's why I haven't left all this, because I love helping you guys. But if it's never reciprocated, or you can't at least meet me to a point and I have to continuously knock down and I'm not going to be chasing people, don't put me in that position. That's where I get uncomfortable myself, and it's not in a growth position. See, there's things where you get out of your comfort to grow in, but there's things where you get out of your values, you get out of your own virtues, your own beliefs to do something that is absolutely not you. And if you put me in that position too, that is not a good sign. And if you submit these things, oh, I can't tell you how many times. And I didn't want to say this in this video, but I know who you are. I know who those people are that do it, even if you haven't submitted it. And I have a recurring pattern. I've worked with a lot of businesses, whether I've gotten them funded or not. I've gotten plenty, but I'm not going to say it comes down to a specific background, ethnicity, or a specific industry. I see those signs, of course. I see some of you out there who are stubborn or ignorant, or there's a lot of things going on. And I just want to have you leave that out the door. Whether you understand something or not, it's rude to do that. If you don't understand something, you question, you don't target, you don't just put a command and think you're the hot, you know what? That's not how things work, guys. And I'm a very nice person. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness, and don't be like that. If you have somebody else, you need to get on the phone with me. We do a 2-way call, 3-way call, excuse me. Or I need to speak with them better about this topic. But I'm not going to do it like 5-10 times back and forth and do all that. And then what? Maybe never worked, or just like it worked, but it was just that we could have avoided all that. So it has to make sense who you put in front of me. And I don't want to be barking down a tree where, hey, yeah, it makes sense. And you come to find out you don't know your finances, or you're like, well, this doesn't make sense, but because you don't know your finances. That's what it's ultimately the reason that's hindering us from moving forward. Or it could be the character reason. It could be multiple, one or more of the other, or none. If you have all those things, great. So right here, you'll want to select one of those two options. You can see all the things here. I've helped out businesses get funded. These are just some of many. Just give you guys a few examples, and you can learn more about me, key benefits, how it works. And then let's say I'm a non-startup, so I'll click there. There's also the startup button. There's a free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist. Sorry. So here it says, get the funding your business needs fast. Complete the questionnaire form below to get a personalized and customized email response for your best funding option and options from a real, I said this earlier, see the recurring pattern here, guys. I want you guys to get it into your head that this person does mean business and personal as well. Like, as much as you want to open up with Gerardo, I saw your comment. I'll get to you in a second. But he's opened up to me in ways that I could have never have imagined. And I'm so thankful. And the format he's put it in is if, my goodness, like I got a shockwave when I saw that. Literally, it was like a goosebump feeling that I go, I'm very grateful and honest. I almost want to cry sometimes, literally, guys. And if I'm gonna cry, I want to cry for the right reasons. I don't want to cry for somebody that's like, man, they're so painful, and I won't cry for you. I'm not gonna give you any more mind. But please put your best feet, not your best foot. Put your 2 feet in forward. So from a real business loan broker expert who can evaluate, analyze documentation, and so forth, and does more with their internal team and keeps you up to date on everything. Please be serious, goes without being said, and responsive. Be responsive, allow for feedback, be open-minded, and be patient. Do not be that person wasting my energy and time, period. I'm not being rude. I'm raising my tonality so you guys understand that I'm not just willing to work with anybody and everybody. If somebody else is willing to, then hey, are they in better position as a broker? Are they in better position as that person? Do they know their stuff? Maybe they do, maybe they don't, and they're just accepting everything. So fine tune these things, or we just leave them out the door and we don't bring them in. Less is said, the better. Plus, get a free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist to get you approved for funding faster without making mistakes. Here, from your name all the way down here to please describe your financial needs. Very important you put this field. You can be as specific. Please be, if need be. You don't have to give me every little word, but please give me enough meat and potatoes of this if possible. And if we spoke already in the past, I know your situation, but I'd rather you also put it in here in case there's anything you missed, or let me just see it again there. Okay. And you literally can get done with this in less than a minute, less than 30 seconds. It doesn't take much time. And there'll be a thank you page video. But before we do that, here, I'll show you what it looks like actually on that page. Put some, I have other 360 numbers, by the way, just so you know. A lot of different phone providers, different purposes. These are not my actual numbers. You guys, man, that guy's consistently making $123. Not a lot, but I'm just putting some random numbers. COVID relief you can use from the drop down. I'm going to select expansion. Yes or no to existing business loan. Please give me the answer here. Read this. If you answer yes, don't give me just, I don't know. Yeah, I have a 25,000, but I never shared it with you. This will give us a faster and energy time efficient way. And I know some of it might look and sound sensitive, and it's very confidential between you and I. I have never once shared this information with someone else until we go through an application sequence. That's different with the right provider, the right lender. That's a whole different situation. And I'm not even sharing this with them before we even get started on the application. We don't even have to share that with them at all. But this is a step for me to underwrite, for me to know, even without looking at statements initially, on what you could potentially qualify for. If you answered yes to the above question, and it's not just EIDL, I should put PPP here too, EIDL, PPP, ERC, etc., 10K grant, please put down the remaining balances, total debt amount, and type of loan, if advanced, how many positions, etc. So if it's bank related too, that'll be helpful, but we can also add another position here and we can work on other ways. Term length expectation, when do you need your funds, business industry, business name, please describe your financial needs, etc. Here, expand on your use of funds, expectations, be thorough. So let me quickly go through this. I can give you guys great examples here, but let's go. I probably missed a field, but it'll tell me here. And if you miss a field that's required, you'll be able to do that. Please put every field. I'm not a creditor, so I won't be using this information or this credit information against you. This is not a soft pull when you put this in. Again, I repeat, it is not a soft pull. This is for me to see. We haven't even gone through a pre-approval application process yet. But here it says we are all set, or you're all set, excuse me. I won't read all this, but you'll see that. Maybe it looks different in time on the thank you page. Maybe you have a split test, or maybe I've moved it around a little bit to look different than this. But watch the video below. You can see my processes and how they work and how simple and effective this will be for you and I without a hassle. P.S. I'm a multiple business owner myself / entrepreneur who's received funding for them and know how hard it can be out there for you. You want the best. So this video here, I try to make it short. It's about 21 minutes. Maybe I make another one in time, but it's hard to make it very less because a lot of you guys will just okay, and then just go on. You still will go on. You won't even watch the video, bookmark it, come back to it. So you're not asking me a question later on. Well, why'd you send me that email that way? Or you're going to understand why I send these kinds of emails, and they're not all 100% of a template. Yes, I can withdraw from them, but it's very personalized and customized. I'll move those options around so you understand where to get started. And it's not all fabricated. It's going to be very helpful for you and I. And by that point, if it makes sense for the next step, then it makes sense. Additional bonus resource. If you'd like to get a free Business Funding Mastery Academy course, if it isn't free, you'll probably know that. This might take you to another page that I'm actually split testing right now, to a blog post. So if I were to click here, let me click that button, and it may take you here if you see this. If not, it's okay. But here, it's the free A to Z course right now. And if it's not free, it's fine. But here, click here to get started. You watch that video, or you go somewhere else where I take you. And then you're going to want to register your account. I'm already logged in. It shows me on this page. It's an external tab. And you'll see the A to Z. And so here, let me move over to my dashboard. I'll bring it up to show you guys an example of what it looks like on my end once you're logged in. Give me 1 second. and I'm in my Thrive themes. I'm going through my Thrive Apprentice. If you guys are wondering, as a business owner, unless you're being heavy on your websites, you don't have to use something like Thrive themes. But if you're trying to build out a more customizable with templates, that's something helpful. If you have an agency, it's very helpful, and many more. So here, let me move on over to this courses tab, and I'm selecting the course that I've created here for you guys. And I have other websites and I've created other courses just so you guys know. But let me put this here. Copy that link. I'm pasting it into another window so I can see how it looks first to make sure. Okay, and now let me put it in this one, and then we'll close up here in less than a minute. I'll go to the comments in a second. So right here, Business Funding Mastery Academy course. I may change the name over time, but this is how I have it. It may not change at all. But here it is, quick introduction video. And this is maybe subject to change. So just keep that in mind. If you see a different interface, it's okay. And so here, look at all these lessons. You can learn more about me as the author. Follow me on my other channels. I may have more than just this, but it is well worth your time. So you can go through this, get a free 15-step building business credit or building business building checklist, excuse me. And it's incorporated with the business credit and stuff as well. So continue to the course where you left off. And usually I have it set up where you have to go through one lesson at a time. For those of you out there who are like, well, I got to through one, just give me the meat and the potatoes. This course is more than just, if you know this, you know this. If it's more than just getting business funding, where's the online bank term loans? Where's the FDIC? Where is this? It's more than just that. If you look through the actual foundation, the front end, I'm going to go through character or evolution. I'm going to go into my story. I'm going to go into my why that's relevant, why that's important to you. And my processes, I'll also go into asking more of the who I need to become to be the person in my business, not even just getting funding yet. Who do I need to become in my own personal life? Am I affecting others? And I can see that affecting Michael and his team. And I don't want to be like that anymore. I know I've needed to change for some time, but I just haven't come around it, or I've looked at myself and I just don't want to be that person again. And I'm very serious. And it's just one thing saying, and it's another thing doing it. That's why I don't always trust a lot of people. Like I seldomly already trust people in the space who are business loan brokers. The majority of them I don't even trust. You should be feeling the same way about them. And my sole lenders, more so there's trust there because I've developed already those personal business relationships with them and my internal team that I've already vetted through and so forth. But it's another thing to say, do you really trust that person? As an introvert, it's hard for me to give somebody my trust. I can gain their trust much easier because of who I am, my character. And I'm a Libra. If that says anything, and I don't know if it always does, a lot of cases it can. But here, you see all the lessons, you see all the modules. It's very structured. I put this step by step, and if I change the order and I go, well, you can skip through videos. Maybe I do, and maybe it is already like that by the time you're watching this, but it goes through everything. And if I have to update something, I will. With accounting, you need taxes and so forth. You need to get better financial. You need to get a better marketing strategy together. You need more to build out. Oh my. And I might separate some of those courses, and I have other courses for that kind of stuff too, but it's all in there, and that's all I want to leave it at. So let me move over here and go to the comments. How are you doing, Gerardo? I want to read this out loud for everybody. I did see it earlier. And let me emphasize that key word. He said we. Do you guys understand that? We. He didn't say I. He included all of us, me included. We need to be on top of our game on all our documents. Business plan or plans, I can say. Bank statements. Yes, the IRS returns, most definitely those. Those are like priority number one. All financial projections, I want to add on top of that, assumptions. I love that part too, the assumptions part, because a lot of math comes out of that. CVs, yes, resumes, portfolios, what have you done? Specifically, when we go to a specific lender, like SBA loans and other ones, they may ask for that for specific funding services too, and like what you're using the funds for. And credit reports, and in no particular order. And I know that's not how we meant it, but these are things we have to stay on top of. Credit monitoring is very important, and that factors into those credit reports. And I was reading between the lines, Gerardo. So making sure that everything is showing up correctly. And if it wasn't caused by you, how can you remove that? If it was caused by you, what are the underlying circumstances? What is our wait period? What do we have to do with that? So making sure, then there's many more little steps. These are just some of the things he's listed. And he knows this, whether it's the SBA microloan program or anything else. When you go through higher doc services, more will be asked of you. Cash flow will be asked, historical tax returns, not just any tax returns, personal and business, purchase agreements, property information, environmental appraisals. We're going to need to look at undeveloped raw land if that's what you're trying to do. Have you bought land? Do you have the property? And there's much more. Okay, that's where I want to leave it at. Thank you guys. I will try to get back to those of you who have been trying to get on my quote unquote radar, get out of the one of them. Many more. And I apologize for those of you who haven't been able to respond back. Things do come up, and sometimes I have to attend to something quicker. But don't be upset if I don't respond back. Sometimes you got to nudge me again and be like, hey, Michael, did you check this? Just want to make sure. And I had seen it, likely I've seen it, but I can't. Last night I was working on 3 files. I had to get caught up. I was sitting on my couch, not even watching the telly, hardly watch television anyways, but I was there on my laptop and then catching up with a few people, SBA loans. I'm helping out people with gas station projects, build up construction projects. I'm doing everything in between that. And so it's okay if it happens. It's not something you should feel down upon. And you just got to continue to move forward if you already have the information and so forth. Okay, so that'll be everything. Appreciate you guys. Look down below in the description. Quite a lengthy video. I said earlier I'm going to try to close up early. I was thinking before, this is going to be that 20-minute video. Silly me. And I shouldn't apologize to myself, but the more value you guys get, the better. And I owe you guys an apology for saying that. And if you accept it or decline it, either way, just know that I've been trying to make these videos shorter, but lives, they should be this long. You guys get this in-depth information and you guys can rewind and you guys go, well, I could get a video for 10 minutes. And you go, well, now you're confused on what you need to do for your next step. And if so, somebody's showing you credit cards and this is a good credit card for this, but there's a bigger underlying reason to a lot of this. And it's the diagnosis, not just the symptoms. And so if you guys are not getting the overall picture, you guys aren't seeing that, you're not being shown and told that message in a specific way, what good will it do for you? Not only now, but in the long term. Okay. Please share this with others, guys, if you did find value from it. And if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do so. And click that bell notification icon so you do not miss any future content. Appreciate you guys like always. Have a great rest of your Thursday as well as Friday. If you don't hear from me, I'll continue to put content out as possible. And have a great weekend if you don't hear from me by email or so forth. And I will talk to you all soon. Bye.